Greetings, Ashen here with another comic book hunter. Now, today I have something to confess. I have no idea if my stream is live or not because, well, it's not showing up for me, not even on my own channel. So I have no way to really see what's going on, but I will try at some point within the live stream. Anyway, I appreciate anyone who stops in and sees this now, or if they see this later. You know, it's always good anyone coming and checking it out, giving me a like. If you like what I do here, it's pretty in-depth, then go ahead and give me a subscription, and I would appreciate it very much. My show is broken into three pieces usually. I review comics from last week, tell you what I thought about them. And then the center portion often has some kind of miscellaneous thing that I talk about. I think I'm going to forego that this week, though, because I have so many comics to talk about. But the final section, which will be the second section in this live stream, is talking about comic books that are upcoming. All right, so let me go ahead and check my channel and see if I actually have an update. No, there is nothing. And let me look on my email. I don't know if I have to exit YouTube and retry or what the case is. Alright, well, there we have it. I am actually now live and I am capable of entering my own stream. Isn't that great? Oh, and then you're getting a little bit of back talk right there. Let me go ahead and copy this link and post it onto Twitter. Normally this would all be handled in a more timely manner during my intro screen, but unfortunately today YouTube is a piece of shit. And that is usually one of the many bumps in the roads that I have with actual live streaming, is that YouTube is a piece of shit and it doesn't update you very frequently and it's very slow to putting anything up. Anyway, so let's get to talking about comics this week. You've heard enough droning about how much garbage YouTube is. Let's hear some stuff about what you came here for. Comic books, yes. What we have here first for you is X-Force. X-Force number 3 to be precise. This is a pretty damn good comic book. And I'm going to tell you why. There is, out of all the X-Men series, ever since Hox and Pox came out, most of them haven't really done it for me. They're okay, but Hox and Pox set such a high standard that it was hard to live up to it. In my opinion, though, X-Force is the premium best comic book out of all of the new X-Men series. Let me show you a little bit here. We have Domino. She got messed up by some organization that seems to be functioning similar to Weapon X. They are different, though. They call themselves a different thing. And I'm not going to spoil much about it, but I do really love their aesthetic. It kind of reminds me of the Court of Owls. And here we have just this Herculean zombie assassin thing, Frankensteinian monster, busting through a wall. Yes, it's such a good, it's so much fun, so much action, so much brutality. I love this series so much. And if this picture doesn't really get you invested in wanting to see what happens with X-Force, then I don't know what would. This is just such an amazing series, and they seem to be focusing on characters that I am interested in. So, without saying too much, you know, Wolverine, and I don't know who this other person is, broke into a facility. They are the people responsible for what happened to Charles Xavier. And if you don't know what that is, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But they find that the people who came to Krakoa are not normal humans. Matter of fact, they are these zombie-like creatures specifically being created to destroy their enemies. So I'm not going to tell you too much more about it. That is catching you up on the last few issues. If that sounds cool to you, definitely go check out this series. It is worth the investment of your time. And let us go on to the next issue. There are a lot of issues this week, so just giving you a heads up. What do we have now? Fallen Angels number 3. Yes. Oh boy. I gotta tell you about this series, okay? I was talking about in the last review of Fallen Angels how terrible the art was. And it continues to be atrociously bad. The only thing keeping me on this story is Brian Edward Hill's art. If I was him, I would be bothered that somebody was phoning in the art on my comic this well. Because this is a joke. Let me go ahead and show you some of the best art from the comic book, okay? And as you can see here, this is all 3D modeling. There's a little bit of art mixed in. But let me stress, this is the best sequence from the entire comic book. And a lot of that is because you don't see the dry, expressionless, mannequin-like faces. The posing is okay. It's not even incredible. A lot of this is just 3D models with a filter over them and then maybe a little artistic touch-up afterwards. It's not good. But this is the peak of the book, the best art you get. And forget the backgrounds. There are no backgrounds in like 99% of this because this artist is so incredibly lazy that they don't even put meaningful backgrounds on this. Now let me go to show you a little bit more of what the typical art looks like in this book. Here we go. We got, oh my God, just looking at this. Oh, what an amateur. We have a babyface Psylocke over here. No expressions, just looking off into the distance. And then that's X-23 in the background. That is X-23 looking like One Punch Man back there. What in the 9 hells is going on with this comic book? These people, and look at that background. It's just swirls and blobs. It doesn't make sense. That's like every frame in the entire comic book. It's complete trash. It's complete trash. And I'm so sad because I love Brian Edward Hill's storytelling. And I am going to come back for one more issue. I've decided that. It's so bad. The art is so bad it completely distracts from the storytelling. But God, just looking at it is so pathetic. Yeah, no, I'm coming back for one more issue, and they do have a sort of a reveal about some things that are happening in this one. There is a main bad guy called Apoth that is able to sort of possess other people. Seems to be particularly when they're under the influence of some kind of ability enhancer for mutants. And now it's saying that God is Psylocke's child, and God appeared in the first issue to Psylocke, telling her to, go on this mission. I'm trying not to spoil too much for you, but if you want to read this purely for the story, be my guest. But I am just begrudgingly buying this just to try and kind of get through the story. But this artist is a complete disgrace, in my opinion. It's so bad. You could find 3D comics, like free 3D comics anywhere on the internet. People do a much better job than this. This is complete trash. And I'm sorry if that's offensive to anyone, but the work you're doing is not good. You should go back to doing free comics on the internet, and until people actually start praising you for doing a good job, then you should stay there. And I don't think many people are going to praise you for this, because this is bad. And I know about 3D modeling. I used to do stuff like that, creating flat images out of 3D models and whatnot. And this is not Marvel. This is not indie. This is below indie. This is like free, trying to build an audience kind of stuff that you put out there, that you're not good yet, but you're trying to win people over with your personality kind of stuff. So anyway, that is so sad. Let's get on to the next comic book, though. Whoa, Ghost Rider number 3. You notice how all these things are on number 3 now? 3333. Okay. Ghost Rider number 3, though. This is a good book. They do have a new artist on this book. I can't say I'm disappointed, though. The art isn't quite as good as it was. It doesn't have that energy in movement that the last artist had. It's a little more stiff, not quite as refined, but it's still really good. And I tell you what, whoever the colorist is on this book really saves it. Let me go ahead and show you a bit of art. As you can see, it looks pretty damn good, but if you really look at the details of this, the artist really brings out a lot of the intricacy of the artwork in this. But I'm not complaining for a fill-in artist or whatever the case is. I did find this acceptable, much better than the last book I showed you. After reading that, pretty much anything seems incredible. But yeah, here we have Johnny Blaze trying to find some answers. Not really too much happens with him in this book. And it's actually pretty slow issue. I don't want to spoil too much about what happens as usual, but honestly, there's not much to spoil about this issue. It's just kind of an in-between, sort of just a space filler till they actually get something happening. It was entertaining enough to where I am going to pick up the next issue, but it is the worst issue yet. Just in the fact that almost nothing happens in the whole issue. So make of that what you will. All right. So let's move on. We got quite a bit of comics this week. Next up, what do we have here? Oh, Batman Curse of the White Knight. Number 5, I believe. This continues to be an awesome series, and I really enjoyed this one. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there has been a lot of emotional ups and downs in this issue, in this whole series. People that you really matter being taken out of the picture, trust being tested, all this kind of stuff. And this really continues along that lines. Everything that happens in this series is very meaningful and has a lot of emotional weight and ramifications for the world. So let me go ahead and show you a bit of the art I picked out. Here is Bane in this series, looking badass as I've ever seen him, and he is going to break the Azrael. That's what's going on here. God will save me. So will God save him? I guess that's something you're going to have to find out, but there is an amazing reveal at the end of this issue. I gotta say that Sean Gordon Murphy really knows how to keep you wanting to come back for more. So much cool stuff happens in this book, and the ending reveal just got me so pumped for what's coming next. So if you have been reading this series, just keep reading it. We're on issue 5 of, it's either 8 or 9. I believe it's an 8-part series, but it could be 9. I'm not sure, but I'm fine with it just continuing forever. That's okay. Anyway, if that sounds good, use your better judgment and pick it up if you'd like. I would recommend you do it. Next up, we have another Batman title. What is it going to be? The Dark Knight Returns, The Golden Child. There you go. I got the controversial variant edition here, showing Batwoman with this Molotov cocktail. And what can I say about this book? This is what I had hoped that Superman Year One was going to be like. This is crazy Frank Miller. And that's a lot of the reason why I actually go and buy Frank Miller, is because I love how unhinged his characters are. Let me go ahead and show you some of the art. Bam! Got Batwoman kicking the Joker in the face. There's a lot of Trump analogies in this book, and I know a lot of people are offended by that. I don't really mind it so much, and it's not because I like or dislike Trump. It's mainly just because uh, everyone gets it in this book. You know, I just don't think. I think this is Frank Miller mocking every aspect of how our society is functioning right now, or making an extreme version of it. Whatever the case is, I did enjoy this book. I loved how zany it was. It was almost like Batman meets Akira, and the only sad part I can say is that I'm upset. I'm upset that there's only going to be this one issue. I could not believe when I read this that it was going to end where it ended. I mean, it ended in a place that was interesting, it made sense, and you saw where it was probably going to be going. But at the same time, I would have loved to have seen the end of it just sort of play out. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. Frank Miller did what he did. I don't know if they could only afford him for one issue or not. But it is what it is. All right. So this one is going to be a throwback. I didn't end up picking this one up last week, so I picked it up this week. What's it going to be? Giving you a review now, since I have just gotten it. Ghost Rider 2099. Yes, Ghost Rider 2099. A lot of these 2099 books are introducing brand new characters, but some of these now I'm finding are also just giving you definitive origins for the characters that were presented in the original 2099. So I think they're doing some interesting stuff with this. But what can I say about this? I like the origin in this story for Ghost Rider 2099. My main issue with this is right off the bat, he escapes from the facility, and number one, his character doesn't look as bulky in this comic as he did in the original. He looks very sleek in comparison. I mean, he's still got a blockiness to him, but he looks just not as intimidating. And so that artistic choice bothered me a little bit. The second thing that bothered me a little bit was that he's this strong robot and he gets taken out like instantly by this one bounty hunter dude during the comic book, because spoiler alert, his body is in like almost his soul is almost in like a Terminator body, the main character Miguel, and like he's taken out almost instantly, and his girlfriend beats the crap out of like everyone, all these giant guys. She just kicks the crap out of them, and I'm like, wow, like Ghost Rider's being cucked in his own book. I'm like, oh goodness. So you can make of that what you will. I mean, he goes and does badass stuff later, and he is badass before, but there's this uncharacteristic moment that felt entirely out of place where Ghost Rider is just taken out in a second, like not even with a fight, and then his girlfriend has to save his ass, and I'm like, what? Okay. But overall, do I recommend it? I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good read. Like that one part stuck out like a sore thumb. Maybe they're just trying to develop her character as a badass or something like that. But it just seemed laughable and really out of place to me. It didn't seem earned in any way, you know. Like somebody was like, you got to put that in there. You got to put, super strong female in there. Got to save his ass. Can't just have a guy be strong or whatever. See him be badass and fight through this situation. So that's just my observation. You could tell me what you think. I did enjoy the issue though, and if you want to read it, take all that into account and, tell me what you think. This is some of the art from within the book. As you can see, it looks okay, but I don't know. He just, something is missing, and I don't know if it's what the case is, but he just doesn't look as badass as he used to. Definitely slimmed down a bit, and maybe he went through some upgrades at some point and became more badass. I know he picks up his chainsaw in this issue. He didn't have that before. But yeah, so if you picked that up, let me know what you think. Did that one area, one section of the book stick out to you as like, what the hell's going on here? I don't know. All right. So let us go on and continue to the next. Like, these are all 2099s going on here that I have to review. And we're going over to Doom 2099. Now, I gotta say, when this came out, I didn't give a crap about Doom 2099. And once again, this book really plays with your expectations. They seem to do that a lot with these 2099 books. I read this book, and it seems like it's an origin of Doom 2099. And you have this character referring to himself as Victor Von Doom, and he's haunted by the memory of what's his name? I'm sorry. Goodness gracious. I'm going to get shit for this. Reed Richards. There you go. He's haunted by like the memory of Reed Richards telling him like what are you doing with your life, basically, you know? And they go through this whole like memory thing where it's like their final battle or whatever's going on. And boy, I don't know. I really want to talk about the end of this book. But once again, similar to the Fantastic Four one, and, you know, oddly enough, this is tied to that in a way, in a sense. This book really subverts your expectation. So let's go here. So this is Doom going to his floating castle in the sky. And he believes that there is a Doombot that has usurped his throne while he was cast down to Earth and lost his abilities. So most of this book is building up to this big fight of Doom versus Doom, and him eventually getting like armor pieces and help and whatnot along the way, so he could regain his prestige. So I'm gonna unfortunately have to cut it off there, because there is some crazy stuff that happens in this book. I would recommend reading it, and I would recommend reading the Fantastic Four book for the 2099 series. Both of these two tie together in a sense. They really help fill in some of the gaps. And it's definitely just an interesting read. I can't say that an interesting read. If I could say myself. Okay. So make of that what you will. If you want to read it, do. If not, you know, check it out however you want to check it out. Last book I have to talk about that I picked up this last week from this massive stack is SpiderMan 2099. All right. So I always loved this Spider-Man in particular, because this Spider-Man, in my opinion, like a lot of these characters in the 2099 universe, are, I guess, is this supposed to be the official future for Marvel? So I don't know if you refer to it as its own universe or not. But, here, let's go in here. There you go. There is basically future Peter Parker, which it's not really, no. But he's coming across the spider creature, which is tied to his own existence. Sort of the new Spider-Man has organic abilities that the original Spider-Man did not. But it's definitely a... how should I put this? It fills in some gaps, but I don't know that this book was necessarily worth buying. They do end it on a cliffhanger. seems pretty interesting what they do with it, but like it's such minor details that it's filling in that I can't say I would fully recommend it. I mean, if you're a completionist and you want to get all these 2099 books, then you could pick it up, but you could honestly skip this, and I don't think it's going to have any ramifications on anything because it's just sort of a it's not even fully an origin story. It's like leading up to being an origin story. So it doesn't really go anywhere. It just sort of ends on an, oh, imagine that kind of note. So make of that what you will. Um, there's that. We have finished the first section of my live stream. And damn, that was a lot of comic books. So I'm going to be going ahead and skipping the center section. And then I will be going straight ahead to my recommendations for next week, which is also a fairly large list. They're trying to get out a bunch of comic books because around Christmas they don't ship for like 1 week or something like that. So you're getting a lot of double ups here. So just get ready for it. They are piling them on this next coming week. We have Doomsday Clock, the final issue of Doomsday Clock. After all this time, we have the end of Doomsday Clock in sight. I really wish DC wouldn't have crapped all over this series. I really wish they would have just went ahead with the continuity it was representing. But no, they had to want to get away from it, and they wanted to get away from sales apparently because sales are tanking all over the place now. And that's it. You know, what can you say? I will probably love this ending, but at this point it doesn't matter too much. But then again, I've stopped collecting a lot of in continuity DC because they hopped off this train and they were building it up all along, and then they wet farted out the end here. Doomsday Clock just went on forever, and they decided not to use it in continuity, just thus making it unimportant, and thus making all the in continuity DC unimportant to me. So they really missed out here. You know, I could have been somebody that was thoroughly on board, but they did not want that apparently. So here we have X-Force. This is the comic book to buy. Even X-Men pales in comparison to this. That's a pretty good series, but issue number 3 was really weak. So keep buying X-Force. This guy is going to also be writing the new Wolverine series that's coming out, so just keep an eye out for this. Definitely buy X-Force for some more insane, awesome action. Just can't wait to see every issue. Bated breath on this series. It is so awesome. Then we have Fallen Angels, like I said. I love the story on this, but the art is so abysmal. It's incredibly bad. This would have been a better book than it would be drawn by this person, because then at least you could get it in massive blocks. This art is so throwaway, and even the covers are so like meh now. I mean, look at this. It's okay, but everything just feels so stiff. I dislike this art so much. Why won't they just replace this artist? I'll never know. But yeah, regrettably, I'm going to be buying this next issue of Fallen Angels because I love Brian Hill's writing in this series, and it's, if there was good art to this, this would probably be the #1 X series out in the entire group. Then we have Batman Last Night on Earth, number 3, the final issue in the series by Scott Snyder. We've had a lot of build up to this. There's been some delays, but all I can say is I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait to see where this is all leading, and I'm just very excited. So if you've been reading Batman Last Night on Earth, then go ahead and pick this up. If not, then there are probably still issues available because this series didn't sell incredibly well, I don't think. But it's a fun series, and Scott Snyder's good in small doses, so I'm down for buying a 3-issue series from Scott Snyder. This is another DC Black Label, and that I'm looking forward to. Ooh, nice dark gritty Wonder Woman story. Wonder Woman, Dead Earth. And just look at it. I don't even know what's going on here, but there's 2 different aspects to this. There's this cover, shows this monster lurking in the background, and Wonder Woman standing on top of some rubble-looking skull-like thing. And then you have another cover that looks like the Matrix or something is happening. So I don't know exactly what's going down with this, but I am very interested. I forget exactly who the writer is, but when I did read their name, I was like, oh, they write this other thing that I enjoy. So yeah, I'm definitely on board for this. And let's get on to the next title. The Last God. This has been an interesting series so far. The art is incredible. That cannot be stressed enough. They are not paying this artist enough, whatever they are paying them. This is a little unknown title that consistently sells out at my local comic shop. This is from DC. I'm not sure how it really fits into anything. Maybe it's its own standalone thing or whatever, but I definitely enjoy this. It's such a good series. And if you're into body horror and brutality and fantasy settings and stuff like that, this will be right up your alley. So go ahead and check that out if you want. If you could find this series anywhere, I believe this is issue 3, The Last God. Then we are topping off the 2099 series with 2099 Omega, I believe. Hopefully this will wrap everything up, but I do know that they're continuing into Spider-Man after this. Whatever the case is, though, I'm stopping here. I have no interest in any of the Spider-Man runs happening currently. None of the main ones, the ongoing ones. So I'll be skipping out on that. But hey, you know, maybe this will, maybe this will carry things over into the normal Marvel universe a bit, and we'll see. We'll see what Doom's got up his sleeve here, you know, on the cover here. Looks like he's going to be an actor in whatever the hell is happening. And they did tease something in the first issue of this, the Alpha issue. So if you're interested in the 2099, I've been enjoying it so far. Go ahead and check this out. Why not? You know, we've been here. We've made it through this whole series so far. Last but not least, there is a secret. Well, it's not a secret. It's a mystery gift from Mark Millar. And now I've heard rumors about what this comic is. No names, but apparently it may have something to do with a property he's already worked on in the past. Maybe some kind of crossover. I've heard several different things about this, but nothing for certain. So I'm down for this. I'm going to pick up an issue of this. I don't know what it's going to be, but I do have it reserved in my pull list. And we'll see. We'll see what it turns out, because Mark Millar has been doing some incredible comic books recently. And I even heard when I was on his Twitter the other day that his one comic book, I think it's called Magic Order or Magical Order. I forget which it is. That comic book series is apparently getting a film or a Netflix series or something like that, and it's already being produced as we speak. So if you've been collecting that comic book, then good for you. And if you're willing to roll the dice, go ahead and pick this up. All right, well, let's see, how long have I been going? 35 minutes. Jeez. Okay, well, this has been a long one, but I knew this was coming because so many things to talk about this time. I'm happy I skipped that center section. Thank you all for stopping in. Sorry about the bumps in the road in the beginning. I just can't seem to quite win when it comes to these recordings. But I do appreciate everyone who has stopped in. If you enjoy all these reviews and recommendations and everything else, please give me a like. Please give me a subscribe, and maybe comment. Tell me what you think I could improve on. I'm always down for improving my content. I appreciate all of you, and you all have a great day. Yes.